What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. Happy Thanksgiving. If I sound weird, it's because I'm mad under the weather. But we had to do this podcast because England just played the USA, and I'm pissed. So hopefully my anger will take me through this podcast and help me forget how ill I am. Well, a lot of shit is happening in the World Cup. And Iran put on a display today that they did not, thank God, display against England when they played. Wales, what are you doing? Ecuador, you're the real deal. There's just so many teams. I don't know if Saudi Arabia had played Argentina before the last podcast, but of course, I was the only one that believed Saudi Arabia stood a chance against Argentina. So I'm just kidding. I didn't think they stood a chance. I actually shit on them. So congratulations to all the Saudi Arabian players, and enjoy your new Rolls Royces that Emir or Sheikh, I forgot the title, said he's going to get y'all. Lee's trying to join, so we don't have him right now. But we got Martin Harris, actor, sports journalist, comic, play soccer with him sometimes. What's up, Martin?
Hi, Ian. I'm sorry about your illness, but I'm sure in a few days you'll be fine, and hopefully England will be better as well than what they showed today.
Oh, man. So you want to just jump into that? Yeah, let's just jump right into England.
Yeah, I just want to make one point to what you said about Saudi Arabia, and like I was thinking about it. I just don't want to forget about it, and then we can jump to the game. It looks like it makes perfect sense because the World Cup is in the Middle East, that the Middle Eastern teams are doing well, and they are doing very well. They kind of have a home court advantage. And we forget about it, because they're not established, they're not respected as a football nations, but they do play at home. And except of Qatar, it does show. Iran plays well. I mean, they were just hit by England on several occasions. They were kind of naive the way they played against England, but against Wales, they completely dominated. Saudi Arabia played well, and Asian teams in general, they're doing very well too. So Korea took a point. Japan beat Germany. So it's just the way it is. This is the technically the Asian Federation is the home federation. Asian teams are doing well. It's just as it is. But let's talk about it.
Yeah, Qatar is basically the home field for all the Asian teams or Middle Eastern teams. So basically, they bribed FIFA for everybody to get the games. So Saudi Arabia should chip in some money too. And everybody else that's an Asian team. As I said before, I'm under the weather. Supposed to do a show tomorrow in Miami. I have to cancel. I can't get on a flight like this. So I apologize to those people. I'm just going to stay home and try to get better. But let's get into the England game. So you can talk about the game, Martin, but I'm going to talk about the only reason why I'm on here. So 5 days ago, we knew the US was going to play America. And for the last 5 days, there's 4 games every day, and there's 1 hour between each game. But instead of Fox telling us about the game that's coming up next, like say, even today, they had 4 games, Ecuador versus Netherlands. Tell me something about the Netherlands players. Tell me something about the Ecuador players. Tell me something about the matchup so I can get more familiar with some of these teams that I don't know, that I'm about to watch, that you're broadcasting and that you want me to watch. But for 5 days, for an hour in between each game, all you keep telling me about is USA versus America. And you keep calling it the game of the tournament, the match everybody wants to see. And I do want to see it, but I kind of want to hear what's going on, or between Switzerland and Cameroon too. I want to learn more about them since you have all the access, and they're about to play a match. So then you just start their match, and then at halftime, instead of showing me some highlights and telling me what happened during the match, you go back to talking about USA versus America. That's coming up 4 days from now. And then after the game ends between Uruguay and South Korea, then you, instead of showing me the highlights, then what happened in the game, you do it for a second, and then you bring up USA versus America again. So I'm getting pissed. What else is also pissing me off is you keep on bringing up Christian Pulisic. You keep saying this is going to be his moment. His moment. Like, what about the rest of the teams? What about the rest of the teammates? The rest of the people who helped everybody get here? And I'm like, why are they just pushing Pulisic down our throats? Then I start to see commercials, and all the commercials have Christian Pulisic in it, none of the American players, just him. So they keep doing these exposés. Now I know Pulisic is from Pennsylvania. I've seen footage of him play when he was a kid. You know, I've learned so much about him. And then even when they cut away from the main commentators and go to this lady who's embedded in the camp, she tells you more about Pulisic. And then she said, we talked to Tyler Adams about Christian Pulisic. I'm like, what? You talked to the captain of the American team about Christian Pulisic, as opposed to about him, the captain, being the captain of the American team. First of all, the captain of the American team is Tyler Adams. He's Black. You know what you have to do to be a Black Captain America? You know how good you have to be for the coach to be like,
He's
you know
good.
what? I'm not going to name a white guy Captain America. I'm going to name a Black guy. And you mean you can't tell me something about him? Like, you ask him about Christian Pulisic, you have McKennie on the team, midfielder that plays with Juventus. He's played with Ronaldo. He's won Serie A multiple times. And when he's healthy, he plays over every international player that's on the Juventus team when he's healthy. And you aren't telling me anything about him. So today, when I went into the game, I was so angry in America. I'm usually very supportive of like US soccer. And normally my feelings would be torn because I was born in England. So I always want them to win a World Cup. And I've lived in America so long. So I always root for America because I want the sport to be good here. The podcast called Soccer Comic Rant. I'm trying to, but you can't do it this way, America. This is horrendous. Like, this is terrible. You have other players on the team. The only other player they talked about was Gio Reyna because his father used to play for the US. And Gio Reyna hasn't even played a minute up until today. But they skipped over McKennie, they skipped over Tyler Adams, and talked about Gio Reyna, who hadn't even been in the game. And then they talked about George, what's his name? What's George Weah's son's name?
Timothy, I believe.
Timothy Weah, yeah. And the only reason I talk about Timothy Weah, who is Black, is because his father is a president or prime minister. I forgot what the titles they use.
I think he is the president. Yeah.
The president of Liberia. And he was the only African player to win the Ballon d'Or. So the reason why they're talking about Timothy Weah is because he scored a goal against Wales and because his father has this status. But you can't keep telling me that this is Pulisic's moment. There's so many. There's Tim Reams, 35 years old, white defender, just got called up, playing his balls off, plays with Anthony Robinson for Fulham in England. You can't even, these guys are solid. Like if people score, it doesn't matter what Pulisic does. Like, come on, y'all. This is ridiculous. So so I just watched the game really angry. And then England just disappointed me with their play. So Martin, I'll let you take it from here. I'll catch a breath.
Well, first of all, a lot of very valid points. I think it comes to the cult. I mean, in my opinion, it comes to the culture of American culture of sports that there has to be like one superstar, and you have to put him on the pedestal. It's like the league franchises are being built, like James Harden, superstar, Kyrie Irving, superstar, this football player, Mahomes, superstar. You know, it's just the culture where this is actually this team is completely an antithesis of a superstar culture, because it doesn't, in my opinion, have a superstar, but it has very good elements. It has a young and hungry team, which is pretty even talent-wise, except of actually the best player being Tyler Adams, who is the captain. I think he's one of the best players of the tournament. I think if you would have to have like a best 11 of the tournament, Tyler Adams is probably in it on his position. He's been flawless in this World Cup. Where Pulisic is on and off, he has moments, but first of all, his finishing wasn't perfect, or far from perfect in a lot of occasions. Sometimes he dribbles too much, but still, I mean, he's an important part of the team, but just part of the team. Where then you have Aronson and Reina coming up the bench, and that's the rotation. I don't think they should bring back Yedlin and some other guys. I was disappointed from both perspectives, the American team and an English team, because American team again blew a chance of a win, and now it all comes down to one game against Iran that will have so much additional context attached to it. As we remember, back in 1998, Iran beat the United States, but that game was purely for the sportsmanship's sake, because both teams were, as I remember correctly, eliminated by then and didn't have a chance to go through. This is the game. Whoever wins this game goes through. So this game will be tense for sure. And there'll be
question. Does Iran have to win this game? They don't have to win this game.
No, they don't have to win this game.
They could tie and go through.
You can tie this game, yes.
Yeah, America has to win. Yeah.
And that's it. And listen, the United States, they pay for their youth in experience. I think Berhalter was better today than he was in the first game. But at the same time, it should have been 6 points for the United States after 2 games, and it's only 2. And that's a shame, because they were playing in the second half against England. They were playing some of the best football I've seen from American team in a long, long time. They were dominating. Mckennie and Adams were dominating in the midfield. They were attacking. They made some of the Premier League stars like Mason Mount look like players who played for the first time in their lives. So I think definitely it's a point won by England. But England didn't deserve to get a point from this game. Very passive. They played very passive. They were very reactive to what America dictated during the game. And I listened to a podcast on Guardian football podcast, because it has some of the best pundits and sports journalists that I like. And they made some pretty good and valid points that England dethroned themselves as one of the favorites to win the World Cup after this performance. Now they're the underdog, because this was a pretty poor performance for someone who wants to win the World Cup. And some other additional points, couple of question marks. First of all, does this style of play fit having Harry Kane up front, or more moving and running Wilson would be a better fit for that style that Southgate wants to play? Because Harry Kane is a tough fit with that group of players. That's the one question. Second question, is Trippier the right choice for right back, because he had 2 really poor games so far? Or it should be Trent Alexander-Arnold, who has more to offer on the offensive end. And there's the midfield, who hasn't been strong in this game at all. It was actually the way America dominated in the midfield was incredible. I mean, it was complete dominance.
Well, I'm gonna introduce Neil, and then I may or may not respond to some of that. What up, Neil Chakravarty, stand-up comic, Chelsea fan, and you just got to sit back and just enjoy. I mean, it depends on how you feel about America. I just went on a rant saying some of the stuff that I said in the group chat about America's publicizing this game and only this game and only Pulisic. And Martin responded to some of that. As far as the game is concerned, great game, America. You showed that you belong on the world stage. I actually feel like there's so many teams like America, like as far as like on the level of quality of players that sum up their whole part in this tournament, like Japan, who beat Germany, Canada, who lost but could have beat Belgium. There's other teams like Saudi Arabia. Now that they beat Argentina, like a lot of people are like, oh, we could beat Argentina too. No, Saudi Arabia, their recovery, like even when Argentina did break through their lines and were onside, some of those recovery tackles, Messi was standing in front of the goal with a shot, and this guy slid in, got all ball, took the ball, turned around and turned that attack into their attack. So there's just a lot of countries here where the next round is going to be unpredictable, because I think the way to play any team is the way Saudi Arabia played Argentina and the way America played England today. It's just press. You know, today Iran is like, we're not going to sit back. We're going to press. You know, Tunisia, they press. They got a result. They got some points. Like pressing is the new like park the bus, because you could get something out of it. And so there's some other teams, I'm just trying to find them on here that normally, you know, Morocco,
Japan
got something, Japan from Germany, you know, Costa Rica, they sat back, they parked the bus, they got 7 put past them. See, that's what happens when you do that old strategy. But the new strategy, like South Korea went for it against Uruguay. So Uruguay got all these name brand players, that the players on South Korea, kind of on the same level of the players on America. You can get a result if you attack a football team and you press them. You make them feel uncomfortable the way England felt today, and I think England was tired for some reason, and I don't know if somebody sabotaged the air conditioner in the stadium on the pitch, but it felt like I was watching the England that was 1-0 up against Brazil in the 2000s, and in the second half, they just dehydrated in front of us. I felt like I was watching that, but yeah, we just, the substitutions helped us meaning England, but then America made their subs too and got back in the game. Just kudos to American players for what they did, including Pulisic. Even though I just, anybody that feels like me, I just hope this American media with their agenda doesn't turn you off from him. He hit the post. He's a good player, but he's one of the sum of he's one of the sum of all their parts. Ecuador today said went mano a mano against Netherlands after going down, and they were better. And all you have to do is like step the fuck up and try to play the team you're actually playing against, and you could get something out of this. So if you have decent players, if you have players that play in one of the top 5 leagues in Europe, and you combine them together and you say, hey, we're not going to sit back, you could do something. So go ahead, Neil. You had to hear me rant. Now I'll just blow my nose throughout your conversation. I don't even know how to stop this thing. The audio.
No, I mean, I kind of agree with Martin there that this is some of the best football I've seen the US men's team play. But they might actually be going out just because they didn't convert their performances into 3 points. So which would be really unfortunate, because this team deserves to be in the last 16. But I mean, I didn't see the Iran game, but they must have had a hell of a game. The way they got there, 3 points in. But yeah, today, this was like proper, a typical Gareth Southgate performance. Like the attacking impetus wasn't there. It's too late to react to what is going on. Like if he saw that entire game and his first sub was Henderson for Bellingham, I was like, I just don't understand it. Because
I get that 100%.
no, I get Bellingham going out, but then why are you putting Henderson on? Because then you're actually not making you're putting.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. But
Go ahead. I'll probably agree with Martin on this.
Because America was dictating everything in the midfield, and Henderson can keep the ball, and Henderson can kind of boss the midfield a little bit, and
but that's not what Henderson. But that's Henderson from 2-3 years back. If you see Henderson at club level right now, he gets ran past, and that's what happened.
He could do that in the middle of a game, and he kind of did do it. Like England did get some control back once he went on. And Bellingham, as much as we talked about him in the first game, like that's why I didn't like rush to praise of Bellingham. Like I know he's young. Next World Cup, or 4 years from now, he'll probably be way better than he is now. But he shrunk today under some of the pressure of this spotlight. He didn't really show up, but I get why you put in Henderson. And I think what's his name, the guy from Leeds who plays for Man City now, he's injured, or it might have been him. But those are your guys in a game like this.
I mean, I don't think either Bellingham or Mount had a good game. So
no, both were terrible.
But I wouldn't have made the Henderson substitution, because unless you've if Southgate has made up his mind, a point at this stage is actually good, which is fair. I mean, they probably get out of the point and top the group.
Which is total Southgate thinking.
Yeah.
Like think about who you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's very difficult for me to look at a England game and try and.
Who would you put in instead of Henderson? Who would you put in there? Trent?
I would have put in Trent there.
Yeah, but that's not
go for the game.
There you go, trying to attack and win the game.
Yeah, but that's not his natural position. It's not his natural position. He's not.
It's not his natural position. But Southgate has also kind of made it clear that right back is not somewhere he feels comfortable using Trent in. So why is he in the squad? Like he has to use somewhere.
Put Trent for Trippier because Trippier was playing very poorly on both games.
That's one thing I want to disagree with you. Trippier played good in both games to me, and especially in this game when we're passing the ball around the back in the first 10, 15 minutes of the game. Trippier, all the attacks that we did have that was successful came down Trippier's side of the field when he found Saka out wide. And then we stopped doing that. I don't know why he stopped doing that, but our first breaks or cracks that we found in the American defense or pressure was down on Trippier's side in the beginning of the game. So I kind of disagree with you, Mark.
Yeah, but then later in the game, the second half, I think he was really bad.
Probably right about that. But everybody was.
I think you can put someone who runs a little bit more than Trippier there, and Trent runs a little bit more. He sometimes comes late, and that's the problem of his. Otherwise, could be a perfect football player, right? So, but I would probably put him on for Trippier last 20 minutes of the game to try to win it. Probably I would have done that. I would still put Henderson in because I think it helped. I think Henderson is like a glue guy that type of a guy was missing. Pretty much Adams was eating alive both Bellingham and Mount single-handedly.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's like every country is looking for a forward, right? That number 9, that guy that can score. But the only other player that's rare in world football is the Conte position.
He's $100 million right now.
It's the box-to-box DM, essentially, not the holding DM, but like the box-to-box DM, right?
I think
and America has a guy who is rare in football, and they're not talking about him. Like once, what's his name? When they named the position after him. Once he left Real Madrid lost. What was his name?
Position?
Makalele. So yeah. America has a Makalele. They can literally say it and nobody can laugh at them. Yeah. But they're trying to sell Pulisic as if he's Lewandowski, as if he's Harry Kane, as if
Neymar,
they're trying. But the player that they have who's on that level, like a world level player, they won't even mention it. Like this is Conte. This is Makaleli. This is the guy. This guy in this position, the way he plays, like Martin said, he ate him up. They showed this play after the game where he chased 3 people and caught the 3rd one in the box and slid him out. Like Tyler, like if he didn't do that, England would have scored. This guy, he made the field disappear today for English players.
Yeah,
and it's like, say his name.
Price tag will be 100 million.
They will say his name, I think, after this World Cup. It's just that it just sprung up on them because they're still trying to play the.
How do we know? It didn't spring up on them.
No. But once every 4 years, United States, like the commentators in the US, they'll wake up and try and cater to folks who are watching football every 4 years. So for them, Pulisic is the name they know, not Tyler Adams.
No, I know it. What I was saying before is the reason why they picked Pulisic, because he's the one. Like, these things don't happen by accident. So all the commercial sponsored says, when you look in the game, in the commercials, it's all Pulisic commercials. So he's the person they've chosen to advertise as the face of the team, and it's more than just an accident or just trying to sell the. I get it. Like, if the more white people like the sports, the further it'll go. What will make white people like the sport? A white guy. So let's advertise a white guy. So, but in reality, when you're a soccer fan, you're like, man, I'd love me a Tyler Adams.
Yeah.
I'm a United fan. Get me a Tyler Adams, bro.
I'll actually.
Chelsea needs a Tyler Adams. Chelsea.
I was actually surprised, the captaincy switch, but seeing the way Tyler Adams has played these couple of games, it makes total sense. Theoretically, if you have in a football team, if you have a midfielder who can be a captain, that's the best position to have a captain at. And I think he's justifying that, getting that armband. England, I mean, again, like, it's so tough to criticize Southgate because he does these things that you absolutely disagree with. But it always helps him in these cup competitions. Like, he's been to the final, he's been to the semi-final, and even now, like, they took care of Iran, and now with this 1 point, they pretty much they can coast to just getting a point in qualifying. Maybe
no, they're going to beat Wales. Well, Wales is horrific. It's a horrific team, and I'll tell you in a second. I'm going to give you a breakdown why. Why is that? But let me just tell you something. I'm going to give a policy prediction, and hopefully we can come back to that moment in a few months. I think Liverpool will make a big offer for Adams because I can see him being a perfect fit for Liverpool. I can see him.
Yeah,
makes sense. And they need some legs in midfield anyway. They have some vacancies there.
I say Liverpool try to get him now because he's the one that'll fix everything that's wrong with him, to be honest. But go ahead.
So talking about Wales, they were absolutely horrific, in not only in the first half against US, where that should be 3-0 for United States, but the whole game against Iran. And when you look at that squad, like, pretty much none of these players is playing regular football. I mean, the goalkeeper is not playing any football at all. Bale wasn't playing much. Ramsey not playing. Joe Allen. I mean, I saw Joe Allen in this game, which I haven't seen in a long time. But that made no sense. It's a bunch of older players. It's a bunch of older players past their prime. Most of them are not playing for their clubs. Sentimental choices, and I think even after the game, the coach said that he might have to. That has to be the moment to change things around for like a generational change, because this team is done. It's finished. That's it. It's over. It's not gonna work. Those players are, they're shadows on themselves from the glorious past.
Bale was just out there waiting for his moment as opposed to creating his moment. He just walks around and he waits. And it's like, I wonder if he has like physical issues where he can't exert himself. Like when you're young, you just do shit. But when you're old, you just wait for your moment. And if it comes, it comes. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. So he seems like he's playing very old right now. What do you have to say?
Ramsey. What about Ramsey? I mean,
Ramsey's been done for a minute.
And Joe Allen comes on. I remember him when he played for Stoke City last time I've seen him, you know. So
I think you're being harsh on Joe Allen. He had a great assist to Iran today.
Where does Joe Allen even play for anymore?
I have no idea. I have to check it out.
I
I was like shocked. It's almost like seeing my.
Looks like he plays for Swansea.
In the second division, right?
Yeah.
In the first division, championship.
You know what's so weird? I mean, Joe Allen, he's only 32. I thought he's been 32 for like 5-6 years now.
Yeah, he was at his prime. He was at his prime 2012 when Liverpool bought him, which is 10 years ago. So
yeah.
Damn, it's a long time.
Oh, he's been a long time at Stoke. He was 6 years at Stoke.
Yeah, I remember him from Stoke. Yeah, the last time I've seen him was at Stoke when they were relegated 4 years ago. That was the last time I've seen him.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
I mean, I haven't seen the Iran game, and they were not good in that first game. So
they hit the post like 3 times before they finally scored. I mean, they were completely tearing them apart. They were completely tearing them apart.
Well, yeah, what they did was what Saudi Arabia did, what America did. They pressed, and they just were aggressive, and they played on the front foot. And whenever they countered, Wales was just super open, just really open. And like Mark, there was one sequence. Then they hit the post twice in one sequence.
Yeah, twice in one sequence. Yeah.
And so the game got into the later stages of the game, and then the goalkeeper Hennessy from Wales came out Manuel Neuer style, but he didn't get to the ball, and the player from Iran got to the ball, and they collided outside the box. Now, at first, they gave it a yellow card, which I agree with the yellow card. But then VAR told them, not VAR, whatever the VAR is for, I guess it was VAR, they told the referee to come look at the video. And then he came back and gave the goalkeeper a red card. And then Wales went down to 10 men. And then that's when Iran, who was already peppering them 11 on 11, decided to take it to the next level and score 2 goals, 11 on 10. But Ma, do you think that was a red card?
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
But do you notice that even though the player ran into him, even though that is a foul, he did block him, and he was going for the ball, the player ran into him. But
he first ran into the player, and you know, whenever you make that charge, it's an obvious thing. And first, I think it wasn't the red card first, but then it went to VAR, I think, and gave red card. So they knew what we're doing. You know, listen, you know, Iran, they look very fit, they look confident, they scored 4 goals in 2 games. I'm worried about that game because, like I said, the first thing they said today, it's going to be a home game for Iran against United States, and they only need a point. And it's going to be a home game.
It won't be a home game. There's so many USA fans there.
Yeah, but it's the Israel. It's the Middle East, man. It's the Middle East.
Yeah, outside the stadium, it's the Middle East, but inside the stadium, it'll be half America, half Iran. And half of those Iranian fans, they probably live in America.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I mean, huge game for Iran. They've never qualified for the second round. In fact, I think apart from Japan and South Korea, the only other time the team was qualified from Asia for the second round was, well, I know North Korea did way back, but I think
Saudi Arabia qualified.
Saudi Arabia 94.
1994.
So it'd be great, like for Asian football, if Saudi Arabia and Iran can go through.
It's funny that you bring up Saudi Arabia, because you know what's happening 5 a.m. tomorrow morning.
What's happening?
Poland versus Saudi Arabia. So Martin,
I sent a message to the coach. He's a friend of mine. I sent him a message. He responded. You know, so we connected a little bit today. Listen, he's
coach of Saudi Arabia.
No, the Polish coach. He's an old friend of mine, and he's a good guy. He's dealing with a lot of criticism right now because, like Polish fans were very unhappy after the game. So he deals with a lot of criticism. In my opinion, undeserved because, like Polish fans, they have ego, like they're Brazilian fans and they expect Poland to win the World Cup every time, so
I wouldn't have guessed on the evidence of the Polish fans I know.
Yeah, they sound like Spurs fans.
Yeah, sure. I wish Poland was at the Spurs level in the world hierarchy. Making top 4 every year. That would be awesome. No, but they were very pragmatic against Mexico. It wasn't good football for sure, and a lot of fans are very unhappy about the way we played against Mexico, which I understand. But at the same time, we could have won the game. So we'll see. Tomorrow will be a big test for this team, and I think we can beat Saudi Arabia. I think we will win actually this game.
So you just said that America playing Iran is a home game for Iran.
Yeah.
What do you think Poland versus Saudi Arabia is going to be? You know where some what some fans are doing, because there's no accommodations in Qatar. They just drive in from Saudi Arabia
or from Dubai. Yeah, a bunch of my friends.
Dubai. So let's talk about that's like it's almost like going from New Jersey to New York, or from California to Phoenix.
It's more like California to Phoenix. It's exactly that distance. Yeah, it's like from California.
So
from
it's
California
one country.
to Vegas. It's from like from LA to Vegas. That's what it is. From Dubai to Qatar. Yeah, that's what it is.
I don't know, man. Tomorrow's gonna be rough for Poland.
It's gonna be rough, but I think we're that kind of style of football suits us. I don't think we can have much of a chance against Argentina unless Argentina blows the game completely. Because we do play well against teams like Saudi Arabia, that style of football. We do not play well against teams like Argentina ever. But listen, we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully Argentina and Mexico can tie tomorrow. Poland beats Saudi Arabia. It's there's a chance with 4 points we can finish second, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I think it's going to be difficult. By the way, a lot of my friends stay in Dubai. They take a flight from Dubai. One of my friends missed the flight last time, and he took a camel, and he went through the desert on a camel to the game in Doha.
What friends are these? Are these Polish friends? Oh my God, the sunburn on that's gonna be crazy. I wonder what sort of sunscreen the dude's using. Oh boy. But no, I just feel bad for US that it should have been the way they played. It should have been seeded by now, qualification.
I don't know. It's just football. The one thing that is true about America, they don't have that guy that can consistently put the ball in the back of the net, and that's. But a lot of teams are like that, and
yeah. I mean, Germany doesn't have that guy, so
Germany. Look at, I mean, they didn't have him against Japan.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of tomorrow, Argentina versus Mexico? After Argentina lost.
Historically, Argentina always wins against Mexico, but that's usually in the last.
Let's keep the history going, yeah, baby.
But that's usually in the last 16. This is a little bit different, and I'm gonna talk about one thing because this is a very controversial stuff that I just read about today, and I wasn't aware of it. That Messi and Argentinian Federation signed a deal with Saudi Arabia to promote Saudi Arabia as a country and promote their bid to host the World Cup against other bids right before they played Saudi Arabia, which is really, really controversial. Pretty much Messi signed a super exclusive, I think 200 million or something deal to be the ambassador for Saudi Arabia until 2030. And bunch of other Argentinian players did the same thing. And then the whole federation signed the deal. And then you play Saudi Arabia, you lose to Saudi Arabia. I'm not saying that, that it's connected, but that was a big story that happened. And a lot of people criticize Messi for doing so.
Well, Messi did his job. He scored his penalty, and people say it's just a penalty, but Lewandowski missed a penalty. There's a bunch of people that missed penalties that would have gotten their teams wins. So anybody that scored a penalty in this World Cup, it ain't easy. Like, I'll even give Ronaldo props for his penalty, even though he shouldn't have gotten a penalty in the first place. But that sounds suspicious, Martin, what you just said. And it's very indicting of a statement to make until you see the Saudi Arabia's coach halftime speech. And then you know what they did was for real, for real. Had nothing to do with what was signed between Argentina and Saudi Arabia. His halftime speech.
Yeah, no, I agree. For me, it's just poor taste to do that right before a game like this than some suspicious activity. It was just like a diplomatic blunder and just a poor taste. And
France plays tomorrow. They play Denmark. My issue with France, even though the beautiful game against Australia, is I was telling a friend today about France, and I was like, he's like, what about France's chances? And I said, the problem with France is the players who would be on their bench are their starters now, because that's how many injuries they have. So I don't know who France has on their bench now, since their bench is their starters. And their bench is so good that they'd be starters for most countries. But, Giroud is a replacement for a Ballon d'Or winner, and Tchouaméni and their other midfielders are a replacement for Kanté and Pogba. And normally, you could even put on Cunha instead of Giroud. And Giroud, like, who's a replacement for these replacements? You know what I mean? Like, if France gets any injuries up front or in certain parts of the pitch, like, they're playing their bench now, in a sense. Like, their starters didn't even come to the tournament with them. So they have to stay injury-free.
Sorry for this interruption. Just found the details. So Messi will make $25 million a year until 2030. So it's like around a little bit more than $200 million. And the headline from The Athletic, he sold himself to the devil.
To the who?
Devil.
Devil? Why? Because they have oil money?
Yeah. I mean, Saudi Arabia is playing at the World Cup, right? So, I mean, the teams are playing. It's not that, there's a boycott of Saudi Arabia. There's not a social or a sporting boycott of Saudi Arabia. All these countries have diplomatic relationships with Saudi Arabia. They have sporting relationships. So, I mean,
I think it's because of the war in Yemen. Is it Yemen? Saudi Arabia is like, which I don't know much about the war. So maybe that's why they're calling Saudi Arabia the devil. But America has dealings with Saudi Arabia. We give them weapons. So a lot of people have dealings with these people.
Yeah. I think sports people are slightly sometimes a soft target because it's big, like if there's a diplomatic summit happening, nobody really pays attention.
So I'm reading right now reading what's wrong with Saudi Arabia. It says cover up Saudi Arabia's human rights abuses, including the assassination of the Washington Post journalist and Saudi-born Jamal Khashoggi. In addition to the suppression of women's rights, activists, LGBT people, and those who speak out against the rule of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. And now I'm going to tell you something crazy. So Leo Messi is promoting Saudi Arabia's bid to host the World Cup in 2030. And one of the competing countries for the bid is Argentina. So he's technically promoting Saudi Arabia against Argentina for the bid.
That's crazy. Because didn't you also say that it's not just him, it's also the Argentinian Federation that's promoting?
Yeah, and which is crazy because Argentina did make a bid together with Uruguay, Chile, and Paraguay.
What? That makes, yeah.
For
So
2030.
So who wrote this? Is this from the Athletic?
Yeah, I mean this is like the news. I'm reading from Athletic right now, but no, I'm actually reading from us right now. But this is like news. Yeah. So Argentina is one of the 4 countries trying to get the World Cup 2030 with Uruguay, Chile, and Paraguay. But Messi is promoting Saudi Arabia's candidacy for that.
Messi's like, I'm not going to be there in 4 years. Or when
so
is that?
who
How
cares?
long is that from now?
2030. Well, 8 years from now.
His deal is till
Yeah.
2030, so until the World Cup. If it's awarded to Saudi Arabia, I doubt it personally. 8 years after Qatar, they're gonna win.
Oh, so basically, I think they're saying that it's not that Messi is promoting Saudi Arabia's bid, but he has signed a deal with their federation, which makes it kind of a conflict of interest because Argentina also wants to bid for the 2030 World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see why that's going to be a big
And anyway,
headache.
the timing of it wasn't perfect. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if Argentina don't have a good result, and they go out, people are going to keep talking about this in the context of Messi's legacy.
Yeah.
But one thing I've my takeaway from these, I think over a week of football is that I was thinking so much about, how we spoke about this no group of death. And so maybe the real drama is going to happen from the knockout stage. Yeah, I was wrong on that because there are teams right now who are absolutely gasping for air and they just want to get through somehow. Nobody's thinking of topping the group. They just want to somehow escape.
Like two games stand out. Those will be cutthroat games. It's going to be Argentina, Mexico, and Spain against Germany. Those are 2 games that will be cutthroat for sure. It's going to be like a playoff game, both of them.
Speaking of Germany, Neil, did you see your boy Rudiger showboat against the Japanese player when they were 1-up, as if it's over?
But to be fair to Rudiger, are you talking about the way he does this thing to?
No, but it was an extra special Jesse
the high knee.
The high knee.
But
guide the ball out, and he was laughing. But
no,
it was
but that wasn't showboating. That is part of his style of play because he's done that.
But you could tell he did it because he felt like there's no way these peons are gonna beat us. You know what I mean?
I think any other player would probably thought so too. But Rudiger has that the little bit of a crazy gene in him. So he's done that in tough Premier League games. So he's done that in a Champions League run, I think it was Madrid or something. So yeah. And I think in one interview, he also said something. He didn't say it directly, but he kind of alluded to the fact that he sometimes does these things to get the crowd going. If he feels like it's flat, the atmosphere is flat, he does these things to get the crowd going. So,
I mean, you're on the world stage. There's a crowd of people. You want to put on the show. It's just it's fine when you win, but to lose to the underdogs, to showboat on the underdogs, and then lose to the underdogs, it's not a good look.
Did you guys see the news that apparently, so all the European countries, they wanted to do the One Love armband protest, right? And then protesting against the anti-LGBTQ rights laws in Qatar. And FIFA, initially, even though Qatar and FIFA had said that, that would be allowed, a protest would be allowed, but they kind of went back on their word and they're now saying that nothing, you can't have that. And if you have that, your players are going to get sanctioned. And so all the teams, they kind of went back on it. I think the only person who did something was the German team. They did the covering their mouth protest before the game. But apparently a report has come out saying that all the European nations, they have had meetings in this week discussing potentially withdrawing from the World Cup. because they're not allowed, they're not being allowed to protest, which, yeah, I don't think we've heard the last of that story, which is huge news. Like, if they actually even are considering it seriously, forget actually even going through with it.
I haven't heard that. That's pretty strong.
Yeah. 12
Yeah, they
countries.
request.
The Danish, somebody close to the Danish Federation confirmed that.
Yeah, that'll be strong because what is Qatar gonna do then?
Yeah.
You know, and it'll really look really ugly if the countries pull out and you let them because you don't want them to display an armband that bad. It makes you look like such a villain. Like you have to almost be like, all right, but because I know you have rules, but it's not. You know, I have a friend in Qatar, and he's like, "You respect us, we will respect you," but I don't know. I can't speak for Qatar.
Well, I
like,
mean, the thing is, this is not similar to other things, right? It's not like me and you going on a vacation in Qatar and respecting, you know, whatever the decorum and the laws. This was a tournament that Qatar went out of its way to voluntarily bid and host, right? And part of that was a few things that were asked of and, you know, checkboxed. And now when you go back on these things, like, you know, people can't even wear an armband, people can't wear a shirt and protest. You know, that's really like, you know, pushing it in terms of not allowing a voice. And I'm surprised that FIFA is going along with it, because FIFA has itself in different other areas.
You're surprised that
taken...
that corrupt FIFA?
Yeah.
The FIFA we know FIFA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you know, because FIFA has its own charter, you know, that this one love, you know, game for good, the greater good.
What's the name of the FIFA president now?
Infantino.
Mr. I feel black. I feel like a migrant worker.
Yeah, as I'm eating.
I feel like I am a redhead who was teased on the playground.
Yeah.
To the point that I've shaved off all my hair or any inclination that I was a redhead.
Yeah. Champagne.
So now I can tease and shove redheads
in the $1,000 hotel room, but you know,
yeah,
he's just trying to.
He's in there eating caviar off money.
Yeah, yeah.
Any games you guys are looking forward to? We just do that and wrap up for this week coming up.
You know, the funny thing is that right now I feel like every game is so important, because I think except for Qatar, every team still has a chance to go through.
Right. But yeah, Qatar's done.
Qatar's done, and no team has yet made it to the second round. Like even Netherlands.
Wales is done too.
Is Wales done? No, they're not. They still have a point.
Not mathematically, no.
They can still, you know, win the next game, and USA.
How many?
I think they have to score like at least 4 goals or something.
Yeah, they have to score like 4 goals, 5 goals.
So they got Gareth Bale, bro.
Now Wales is.
I mean, if they win, and then, well, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
no, actually, you know what?
Iran and
Wales. Oh, Iran and Wales, it might come down to head-to-head, right? In that case, if Iran also only draw.
They're done. Wales is done. Plus, they're gonna lose to England big time. You know, it's,
yeah.
They're the worst team probably outside of Qatar. They're the worst team probably in the World Cup.
So right now, I mean, you know, like every game, I think is so important.
Like the only reason that Wales is in the World Cup, and all due respect, I don't want to offend any Wales fans, but they played in the playoffs. They played Ukraine, that, you know, in the middle of the war. So come on.
I mean, they had to play somebody else too to get in, right, after Ukraine.
No, I think the Ukraine was the game. No, wasn't it?
Or Ukraine played somebody, and then after Ukraine beat that person, then they have to play Wales. Maybe I can't remember the order.
Scotland? Did they play Scotland?
I can't remember.
Wales played Scotland, yeah.
Yeah, so another bad team.
So Wales beat Ukraine.
Scotland beat Ukraine,
and
and then Wales beat Scotland, I think.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I mean the games I'm looking forward to is Poland, Saudi Arabia, and Japan, Costa Rica, because both these teams, Japan and Saudi Arabia, they've caused upsets. So now they have the task of beating the easier team of that group, and they can actually do that and settle it. Like they can go through to the next round just in this game itself.
Japan for sure.
Both Saudi Arabia and Japan, if they win their games.
Oh, come on, Saudi Arabia.
Oh man.
Who's going home? Your boy Rudiger is going home.
I'll tell you one thing.
That's gonna be funny. Like I need a live stream of Martin if Saudi Arabia is in the 90th minute leading against Poland.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I wouldn't bet my life on Poland in this game, but I'm pretty confident. But I wouldn't bet my life for sure.
Martin, I'd bet your life on him. I would invite you over so I could film you.
I'll tell you guys, it's gonna be if Germany goes out, it will be crazy because Germany was always like the gold standard for quality at World Cups. They were always competitive. I remember when they finished the quarterfinals in 1994, it was like a disaster when they lost to Bulgaria, and it was a quarterfinal. It was like the greatest disaster ever. And now it's very possible Germany will be eliminated in the group stages for the second time in a row in the World Cup.
So Martin, you feel that's a possibility, and you feel you stand a chance?
Second time in a row, Germany can be eliminated in the group phase. That is.
Oh, actually, you're right, Martin. They can be eliminated tomorrow. It's like on Sunday itself, because if Japan beat Costa Rica and Spain beat Germany, both of them are on 6 points, and then that's the group.
I mean, it's going to be extremely difficult for them to beat Spain. I mean, they have to beat Spain. Even the draw is a bad result for them because Spain will most likely get points in the next game. Japan will have 6 points and Germany will have 1 point. So,
well, I never thought I'd say this, but I never thought I'd be looking forward to a Saudi Arabia versus Poland game in any format in my life. Like if they was having qualifiers or friendly, I wouldn't watch it. But 5 a.m., as sick as I am, I will be checking this out. But it's not because to see Poland and to see Lewandowski. It's just I love the way Saudi Arabia played. They were really athletic. They were pacey, and they have composure. They can really play ball. Like I would say I'm worried for Poland only to show you how much I believe in Saudi Arabia. But yeah, I'm down to see Saudi Arabia tomorrow. And then another game is Spain versus Germany. Like Germany's in trouble.
I'll change the order of the words you said of that sentence. I will see Saudi Arabia down tomorrow morning. Down to see Saudi Arabia. I'm gonna see Saudi Arabia down tomorrow morning. It's different order.
There's a reason why that didn't make sense. All right. You'll see tomorrow though. I get it. You can't understand it, right?
Nothing at half time. 3-0. Lewandowski's hat-trick.
All right. So you guys want to?
Do you guys speak about the Brazil game?
Yeah, we could talk about the Brazil game. Here's another thing.
Serbia made it tough for them, though.
Yeah, Serbia's a good team.
Yeah,
and they're calling Richarlison's goal. And listen, let me just be honest and say I don't like Richarlison. I don't like his antics. I probably would like him if I could separate him from his antics. But I feel it's very insulting to call his goal the goal of the tournament when clearly the Saudi Arabia's second goal was the goal of the tournament. This guy beat 4 guys from a team he ain't supposed to beat and put it in the top right-hand corner under pressure. Like I get.
And that was the game winner.
And it was a game winner. Like I get that Richarlison's goal was amazing, but to be a Saudi Arabian player versus Argentina, like at the top of the box, dribbling and trying to find a way. Like that's my point. Like if Messi had scored that goal, you'd be seeing it on a loop. And because Richarlison is Brazilian and he scored this goal, they're saying this. But that,
Best goal of this
that
World Cup.
Saudi Arabian goal,
It's
that's the goal of the tournament.
It's the second best goal. Saudi Arabia.
You wouldn't even think it was the second best goal unless I brought it up to challenge Richarlison's goal. You'd have forgotten about it.
It was incredible. It was gymnastics. It's just and he hit it perfectly and it landed perfectly. That goalkeeper had no chance. I mean, it was an incredible goal.
I get it. It was Chakravarty. Yeah, definitely. But listen, me saying I like one goal better is not saying that's not an amazing goal. But it's not the amazing goal.
Yeah.
I'm very happy. I'm very happy to see him score like that. But it also worries me a little bit because it shows clearly that he's probably best positioned as a center forward where Kane plays. So that kind of look into the future. I don't know.
Maybe he can play there next season when Kane leaves.
Yeah, I mean, you own him. It's not like he's going anywhere, Martin. He still plays for Spurs.
Yeah,
so if Kane gets injured, you guys can you have versatility.
They can find a way to play them both, but then you have Son, and Son cannot. Yeah, I mean it's difficult. It's a difficult.
You have good problems. You have people to cover for people. Like I don't understand. Who wants a lack of depth? You have depth.
Yeah, no, but it shows what I'm trying to say. It shows that Richarlison is good as a focal point of the offense.
Or does it show? Yeah. Or does it show that your coach stinks? Is that what you're really trying to say?
But Kane, I know it's going to be tough to convince Kane about this, but we've kept talking about Kane playing this false 10, false 9 position.
But if that happens, also you cannot play two offensive wings in Kulusevski and Son. There's no way they all.
But that's how Brazil's been playing because they're playing Vinicius Jr. and Rafinha and Neymar's behind Richarlison.
Yeah, but he cannot play like that in the Premier League, though.
Yeah, I guess so. I see your point, but it's these guys are athletes too, so it's not like.
I'm sorry.
Kane.
You say you can't play like what in the Premier League?
All 4 of them at the same time on the Premier League level, because then you will not have anybody in the middle. You have to play 2 defensive midfielders because there will be no enough defense.
Yeah, Højbjerg and who's that other guy here?
Bentancur.
Betancourt. Yeah, Betancourt. But that Betancourt should be where you want to put Kane on in that situation.
Oh, yeah, sorry. How Højbjerg and this new guy you got, the Bissouma, yeah.
Yeah, but then there's a gap between offensive line and defensive line when that happens. Then you need somewhere like Betancourt, so you have to take one of those 4 guys out.
I think Bissouma is, he has the agility to even like walk with the ball. Progress with the ball. But anyway, these are like these are good problems to have. But I mean, just coming to the game, Brazil came to this tournament as the along with France, I think the favorite, and it was just bizarre to see like how their subs were Fabinho, Gabriel Jesus, Anthony, Martinelli. Like these are all A-listers. Maybe not. Maybe Anthony's just come in, but like these are all people who are big names at club level, and they're all they can't even get a starting spot. Like Firmino has had a great start to the season. He can't even make the squad.
Yeah, now with Neymar is injured. He's not going to play in the group stages at least. I think Rodrigo will get a chance. I think that's probably the guy to step forward. And
I got to be honest. Rodrigo looked like the only player that didn't belong out there, and I felt like he knew it and felt that way. It's like you made this jump from Leeds to Barcelona.
Rafinha, you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, Rafinha. Like he had some chances early, and like of all the people, like I've watched him leave Leeds and go to to Barca, and I didn't 100% like. I'm like, yeah, he's good, but is he Barcelona good? And then now I'm like, is he is he Brazil starting 11 good? Maybe the rest of the tournament would tell. But do you think they're going to be in trouble, have trouble in these next, 2 games without Neymar, or you just think they got this?
They got this. They've got this. I think Brazil is definitely a contender, but I forgot to mention it last time. For me, like a silent favorite, and they didn't quite show it in the first game to win it all. And I think they have a very good chance to win it all. Is Portugal.
Yeah, Portugal has an all-round team too. Like if they can keep that starting 11 fit.
Yeah, they got bench players
between. They have players who are older, like Cristiano Ronaldo. They have players who are younger, like Joao Felix, and they have players in their prime, like Bruno Fernandes. So it's the right balance for the team. They have each. Neves and Ronaldo are old. Fernandes, let's say, who's the guy on the right, are prime, and then you have, and Cancelo is prime.
Ruben Diaz,
right, like Diaz and Joao Felix and one other guy who plays on the left. They're young players. So yeah, they have it all. They have it all.
Yeah, Delot can't even get in the game.
Yeah.
He's one of Man United star players.
Yeah.
I think they can win, actually. It would be, and if that happens, if let's say Argentina doesn't advance from the group and Portugal with Ronaldo wins the World Cup, I mean, then that settles the debate, I think, forever.
I think Brazil, I feel like this is a slightly more resolute Brazil than we have seen in previous World Cups. They seem to have, like, with that, with Casemiro and who's the other guy who was there last game? Was it Rodrigo, or who was in the midfield?
It was
Casemiro, Lucas Paqueta. Yeah. So they were not really giving a lot of chances away. And in a team like that, with Thiago Silva behind, if you don't give Alisson, like if you're keeping yourself solid in the middle of the park, the rest of the team is just going to do his job, and you're going to get those goals. You're going to keep clean sheets. It's going to be tough. Like, it's going to be good to see a France versus Brazil, or like a Brazil versus Portugal final, because all these 3 teams seem to be, they have like all bases covered. Spain, of course, they had a great first game. Martin, in the chat, he brought up the fact that Costa Rica had 8 out of 9 clean sheets, which is just insane. Like that Spain.
Yeah, that's why I think Germany will have a big problem beating them. Big problem.
But I still don't trust Spain to go really far, because I feel like they have they are like one of those teams which are probably like bubbling under the surface. So, but hopefully at least the teams that have started the tournament well, they can go ahead and offer some of these matchups.
It would be interesting if let's say Argentina bows out of the group, Ronaldo wins the World Cup with Portugal, and Messi becomes ambassador in Saudi Arabia, and he will welcome Cristiano Ronaldo as the greatest football player of all time there.
I'm just going to act like I didn't hear that ridiculousness.
Messi and Ronaldo are going to be here in 4 years' time, Martin.
No,
they're going to be in your backyard.
No, Messi is great, but he has to get his. Tomorrow he has to show why he's one of the greatest against Mexico. He does have to show that. It's gonna, and it's listen. Mexico made it out of the group last 8 World Cups, so this is probably the worst Mexican team I've seen since I watched World Cups since 1986. This is probably the worst, the least talented Mexican team, and I agree with some fans who are questioning why Tata Martino didn't take someone like Chicharito or Vela, who maybe are not in the best shape, but they could still score that goal to make the difference in a game like that, because Mexican team doesn't have a guy like that.
Did Vela? I thought you told me Vela didn't want to play. Is that true?
I definitely Chicharito wanted to play. I don't know about Vela. I think if they asked Vela, he would play. Why wouldn't he? He played last World Cup.
I thought Vela quit, but I'm not sure about that. Chicharito.
He can score goals, you know, like you need someone who's to score goals.
Yeah. You know. But we'll see.
Like if they had better players, but they don't have better players. I mean, if they had better players than Chicharito and Vela, sure, but it doesn't look that way.
Any last words? Because my battery's gonna die, and so am I.
Well, shocking losses for some teams, but it looks like the favorites are out there in France, Portugal, Spain, and Brazil, and those will be the teams to probably compete for the title. I don't think Netherlands is at that level. I don't think Argentina showed that they can be at that level, or Germany. So it looks like those four teams probably one of those four teams will win the World Cup.
Anything new?
No, just looking forward to more upsets. I love some drama in the group stages.
Go Saudi Arabia.
Go Saudi Arabia, guys.
Go home, Saudi Arabia.
Well, yeah, that's short ride by camel, as your friend.
Apparently. So
boy.
Everybody keep enjoying the World Cup. It's a good tournament. I'm sorry about every commercial being about a ball drops and then one player from one country picks it up who's a world-class, world name, renowned player, and they kick it, and then another player pops up out of nowhere who's a world-renowned soccer player, and they play this game of keep away, which ends up at the feet of another world-class, famous soccer player. I mean, all the commercials are pretty much that commercial, but
Pepsi ruined the game. Like back in the day, I think Pepsi did one of those commercials, and it's just been everybody's been making the same one over and over again.
Yeah, because one company, it's like an African scientist and this European
that's Nike.
That's Nike. It's like we've seen this commercial, Nike. What if we make a multiverse? Well, why do you have to need a multiverse? And then you can, like, we've seen that commercial. You mean what if we bring back that Pepsi commercial?
Yeah.
Is that what you call creating a multiverse?
Yeah.
Anyway. But besides that, games, players, God bless you for entertaining us and giving it your all, coming out of your leagues and playing. And there's a lot of political issues hanging around the necks of some of these players, but they're still playing. A lot of the media is going after, like one of them went after the Iran coach, Carlos Queiroz, and it's like, hey, media person, you're working here too. You're working here too at the World Cup. Like, you're getting paid too. He's doing his job, you're doing his job. He didn't cause this, but I get it. But the better a team like this does, the bigger voice the players and the coach will have to say something about what's going on in the country. So sometimes reporters are very self-righteous and they're asking coaches, like, you went to interview this person who you're accusing or judging of this thing. It just doesn't help. Just try to think of a way that will really help.
Yeah,
that'll help everybody. That'll just be the better solution, instead of like blaming someone who, I'm sure when every coach or player entered soccer, it wasn't to be in some of these scenarios where the country is in turmoil, you know? So it's enough pressure playing in the World Cup. So journalists, you're supposed to be smart. Think of something better that'll actually help yourselves. It's on everybody, not just those people you're judging. All right, everybody.
All right.
Enjoy the World Cup. I'm gonna try to feel better. Thanks for coming in, y'all.
Poland, Polska.
Saudi Arabia.
Polska, Polska.
Tomorrow's gonna be fun on the chat.